What's going on, guys? Brandon here, aka your favorite Minnesota realtor, and today I'm going to be giving you guys 6 steps on how to sell your house in Minnesota so that you know where to start the process and what you can expect. Now, this is just going to be a general overview because if I tried to go into detail and cover every single scenario in the process, this video would be like 2 hours long, and I'm sure that's not what you want. So because of that, I've also started teaching live home seller seminars each and every Thursday on Zoom at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time for those that want to go even more in depth and have the ability to ask specific questions that may or may not get answered in this video. So if you'd like to sign up for one of those classes, just sign up using the registration link below in the description. Or if Thursdays at 5 p.m. don't work at all, just shoot me an email. We can schedule a one-on-one that works best for you. Now, let's get started with the video. So if you're thinking about selling your home, then maybe there's a strong reason why. So maybe you've outgrown it and want something bigger. Maybe you want to be in a different location, or maybe you just want something newer. Regardless of the reasoning, the home selling process always starts in the same exact place. So the first step is contacting a realtor to do a home evaluation on your home. Now, I know this sounds like a sales pitch, but it really does start here because there's no other way to sell your home without knowing first, how much is it worth? Now, depending on how close you are to selling, there are 2 types of home evaluations. One, which I call the desktop or the blind home evaluation, which is basically when you just give your realtor your address and they can take a look at all of the recent sales surrounding your home and give you a general range of how much your home could be worth. Now, this method is good for people who are still in the beginning stages of selling their home, meaning that you're currently thinking about it, but you may have a few months or more away from actually doing it. Now, it will give you a general idea of how much your home could be worth, but doesn't take into account the condition of your home or any upgrades that could affect the overall value of your home. Now, the second and most accurate home evaluation is the physical one, where the realtor will physically come out to the home, take a look at the condition, the layout, and upgrades that have been made. Now, this evaluation is going to be the most accurate by far because the realtor is actually able to physically see the home and compare it to other homes in the area. You'll want this type of evaluation if you're planning on selling the home now or within the next month or so. So other scenarios on when you would want to choose this kind of evaluation is when you know the home may need a little work and you need some recommendations on what you can do to increase the overall value before putting it on the market. One of the topics that I will also be discussing in our home seller seminar are cheap upgrades that will increase the value of your home. So if you're looking for some recommendations, I would highly suggest signing up for that. Now, another benefit of doing the home evaluation is that you'll also get what's called a seller's estimated proceeds worksheet, which is basically a form that shows how much you can expect to walk away with after the fees associated with selling your home. Now, usually your realtor will give you the estimate at 3 different price points so that you can have an idea of what you'll have in all 3 scenarios. Once you have the home evaluation done and you have all the recommendations that you need to be done, you and your realtor will agree on a price and get all the paperwork signed. Then the second step of the home selling process will be getting your house ready to put on the market. Now, realistically, the main things that every homeowner will need to do in this phase are basically clean. Now, this seems obvious, but you'll be surprised at some of the homes I've walked into. Now, when you're selling your home, the first impression is literally everything. If you mess that up by showing a dirty house, you're going to be costing yourself thousands of dollars, and that's no exaggeration. The second thing is to declutter and depersonalize. You really want to reduce clutter and get rid of things that are taking up space. You don't want to be using one of the bedrooms as a storage area or have a bunch of knickknacks all over the place. It makes the space feel really small and not going to be good. Also, depersonalized, meaning if you have anything in your home that could potentially alienate a buyer, then you want to take that down or get it moved. For example, if you're a hunter and you have all your trophy bucks and animals lined up on the wall, I'm not sure how someone who's vegan would feel walking into your home. The key to having the best showing experience is to make it so the buyer can imagine themselves and their personal belongings in your home. Now, most buyers have a terrible imagination, so if you have too much stuff in your home, then it's going to be very difficult for a buyer to see the big picture. If all else fails, just think neutral. Now, the third step in the process is once you have everything clean and ready to show, is to put the house on the market and start showings. Now, as a seller, this will probably be the most annoying part of selling your home, depending on your specific situation, because if you're still actively living in the home, you'll have to leave every time someone wants to show it. This is why it's very important that you and your realtor discuss the game plan ahead of time, because if you have the ability to go on a weekend vacation or stay at a family member's house for a couple days, then that will definitely definitely help you get more showings done in a shorter amount of time. Obviously, this isn't going to be doable for most people though, so as a seller, you do have the ability to set specific days and times that the home is available for showing. For instance, if you work from home Monday through Friday from 8 to 4 p.m., you can set it so that showings will only be accepted after 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, which will help from disrupting your day. Now keep in mind though that the less flexible you are with showing times, the more buyers you're potentially missing out on. But for the most part, as long as your home is available on weekends, then you'll usually be fine. Now in my home seller seminar, I do go into much more details on how to get more buyers in the door, as well as discussing important stats like when's the best time to list and even the best day of the week to put your house on the market. Now, hopefully by now your home showed well and you have one or more offers, so step 4 is to pick an offer and negotiate if necessary. Now, as of the making of this video, things are a lot different now than they were in 2020 through 2022, where buyers were paying $20,000 over asking price, waiving home inspections, and every home had at least 10 offers on it. Now, that's not the case anymore, and you can expect buyers to have a home inspection, and in some cases, depending on how long the home's been on the market, they may even ask you to cover some of their closing costs. Now, both of these are completely normal asks from a buyer, so don't be shocked if you do see that. The good news is, the more offers that you have, the more negotiating power you maintain as a seller, and that's why step 3 is so important. The more people you get into your home to see it, the more offers you can potentially get. Now, once you pick an offer, your realtor will inform the buyers of the decision, and the buyer's realtor will then schedule the home inspection. The home inspection will typically happen somewhere within a week of the offer being accepted, and you'll need to leave the home again to allow for that to be completed. Now, once the home inspection is completed, the buyer has reviewed it, there may or may not be negotiations. Based on the findings of the home inspection, the buyer has one of 3 options. 1, they can ask you, the seller, to make repairs. 2, they can ask for a price reduction for repairs that they may have to fix themselves if you're not willing to do so. And number 3, in extreme cases, usually if something major is found or if you and the buyer can't come to an agreement, the buyer can completely walk away from the deal. Although personally, that's never happened to me, so it's very rare. Now, usually if the buyer is having you make any repairs, then those repairs must be done prior to the closing date. Now, during step 5, the buyer and their loan company will be working on their end to get approved for the loan. The bank will order an appraisal, and the appraiser will make sure that the home is worth what the agreed upon price is. Now, as a seller, you won't know what the home appraised for unless the home appraises for under the agreed upon price, in which case you and the buyer will either need to agree on a new purchase price, being the appraised value, or the buyer will need to come up with the extra cash to cover the difference. Now, in 2020 to 2022, buyers were covering that difference, but today you can pretty much expect that the buyer and seller will have to agree to that new purchase price. Now, I personally have only had one home not appraised in the last 4 years, and it was only off by $4,000. Which I still don't agree to this day, but that's a whole nother story. Now, hopefully you've gotten all your stuff packed up by now, because in number 6, you'll need to make sure everything is out of the house and cleaned before the closing date so that the buyer can do their final walkthrough. Also, any repairs that were negotiated will need to be completed by the closing date as well. Now, usually a week before closing, you will go to the title company to pre-sign your closing documents so that everything goes smoothly on closing day. Now, on the actual day of closing, only the buyer will need to be there and your side is already completed with. Now, once the buyer signs everything and they're completed, the lender will then wire the funds to your title company, and the title company will then pay off your existing mortgage, as well as subtracting any fees associated with selling the home, and the remaining amount will be wired into your account. Now, if you're selling a home and buying a new one at the same time, especially if you're using the money from that sale to buy the new house, then this entire process will look a lot different, which is why I didn't try to cover everything in this one video, but I do cover this in my weekly home seller seminar. So again, if you want to sign up for that, just use the registration link in the description or send me an email to set up a one-on-one meeting via Zoom to discuss your specific situation. But other than that, I really hope this video helped, and leave a comment below if you have any questions.